A legacy forged in the spotlight can be both a blessing and a curse. For Max Baer Jr., it was the shadow that shaped his entire life. Fame never arrives without cost, and for some, that cost is buried deep in wounds no one else can see. How does someone live under the weight of a famous name, the ghost of a tragic legacy, and the crushing force of being known only for one role? How does a man rebuild when Hollywood slams every door shut simply because the world can't see beyond a single character he once played? Born in 1937 in Oakland, California, Max Baer Jr. didn't step into the world quietly. His very name carried echoes of power and pain. His father, Max Baer Sr., had been a heavyweight boxing champion, celebrated across America, but also burdened with one of the darkest moments in sports history. In 1930, Baer Sr. landed a blow that ended the life of fellow boxer Frankie Campbell. Though ruled an accident, the emotional toll never left him. That weight, of fame, of guilt, of being both admired and feared, was passed down to Max Jr. like an inheritance wrapped in sorrow. His family's roots in both German Jewish and Irish Catholic heritage placed him in the crosshairs of cultural tension in a post-war America still learning tolerance. Identity was always complicated for Max. He grew up watching strength and fame shadowed by regret. And that duality would define the way he saw the world. But even as a child, Max wasn't one to quietly accept a role written for him. His talents stretched far beyond what anyone expected. In high school, he excelled in sports, 4 different ones no less, and dominated junior golf tournaments. By age 12, he was already performing in England, fearlessly stepping on stage in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Even then, he seemed drawn to life's odd intersections. Athlete, performer, outsider, dreamer. When he joined the U.S. Air Force as a medical technician in the late 1950s, he was disciplined and sharp. Later, earning a degree in business administration and philosophy from Santa Clara University, Max built a foundation most actors could only dream of. He wasn't just a performer. He was a thinker, a strategist. But none of that would matter as much as the moment he became Jethro Bodine. The Beverly Hillbillies changed everything. As Jethro, Max Baer Jr. became one of the most recognizable faces in American television. The show was a smash hit, running from 1962 to 1971 and pulling in nearly 60 million viewers at its peak. Jethro, the sweet, bumbling cousin with dreams far bigger than his understanding, was beloved. But Baer gave the role more than comedy. At 6 feet 4 inches, he brought a presence, and in playing both Jethro and his twin sister Jethrin, he revealed a boldness that was rare for the time. Still, success didn't mean security. Despite the show's wild popularity, Baer was paid just $500 an episode in the beginning. And once reruns began, those payments shrank to almost nothing. The money poured into studio pockets, not the actors. When the show ended, Max Baer Jr. faced an unexpected enemy: his own success. He was so good as Jethro that no one could see him as anything else. He spent years unable to land roles, shut out of Hollywood simply because the industry refused to believe he could be anything beyond the goofy hillbilly. But Max didn't give up. He reinvented himself behind the camera. In 1974, he created a film with almost no budget, just $100,000, and turned it into a $35 million phenomenon. That film, Macon County Line, proved that Max wasn't just an actor. He was a storyteller, a businessman, and a force. His next projects, The Wild McCullochs and Ode to Billy Joe, pushed boundaries even further. With Ode to Billy Joe, Baer pioneered a new form of marketing by adapting a popular song into a dramatic film, something Hollywood now does regularly. He took risks others wouldn't and succeeded without the help of big studios. Baer also knew how to defend himself. In 1991, he sued ABC for $2 million over rights connected to Madonna's hit, Like a Virgin, standing up for creative control in an industry that often strips it away. But his most ambitious plan came that same year when he made a deal with CBS for the rights to his old show, aiming to turn the Beverly Hillbillies into a restaurant, casino, and hotel empire. His vision was massive: Granny's Shotgun Shack, Jethro's Rib Joint, themed slot machines, everything. He poured nearly $2 million into it and was ready to bring the show back in a way no one had seen before. But betrayal was waiting. In 2008, without his knowledge, an Iowa restaurant chain opened under the name Jethro's Barbecue, using the exact branding and themes Baer had licensed from CBS. It wasn't just the name, they used the same food concepts, the same hillbilly atmosphere, even decor drawn from the show. As the chain expanded and grabbed national attention, Baer was blindsided. Worse, CBS, the very company that had given him the rights, had known about the restaurants and cut a secret deal with them, never informing Baer. That betrayal wasn't just a legal issue. It was personal. It destroyed his licensing rights, erased years of work, and shattered his plans for the Hillbillies-themed empire. In 2014, Baer fought back, filing a lawsuit against CBS for breach of contract and fraud, accusing them of secretly sabotaging the very rights they had sold him. His lawyer called the CBS agreement one of the worst settlement deals in entertainment law, a quiet arrangement that allowed others to profit off Baer's vision while cutting him out entirely. But the courts didn't see it his way. In 2015, a judge dismissed nearly all his claims. Even the final claim of breach of contract was dropped in 2017. The court ruled there was no solid evidence Baer had lost money, and just like that, his dream of turning nostalgia into a lasting business crumbled. While Jethro's barbecue flourished, Max Baer Jr. was left empty-handed. Behind the fame in courtrooms, Baer's personal life carried its own heartbreak. In 1965, at the height of his career, he married Joanne Kathleen Hill after seeing her on a billboard. But their paths diverged quickly. Baer wanted a family. Hill wanted an acting career. The marriage ended after 5 years, and they had no children. Decades later, he fell in love again, but tragedy returned. In 2008, his girlfriend, Cher Rhodes, a young penthouse model, died by suicide in his Lake Tahoe home. The loss shook Baer to his core. After that, he withdrew. He began carrying guns for safety and lived in growing isolation. His house became a kind of fortress, filled with memorabilia and echoes of a life that once burned brightly in the public eye. Even his appearance became a mission of control. Multiple hair transplants, black dye for his hair and mustache, all to keep the image of Jethro Bodine alive, even as the world tried to forget him. Despite it all, Baer never let go of the business side of entertainment. As of 2025, his net worth was estimated at $50 million, earned through producing, directing, and the occasional licensing deal. But the name Jethro was both a blessing and a chain. Baer once said he was about as much in demand as cancer by the time he turned 50. And still, he tried to make Jethro work for him, through casino plans, slot machines, merchandise. He wasn't clinging to the past. He was trying to shape it into something he could own, rather than something that owned him. But legal entanglements and local opposition kept crushing those efforts, reminding him again and again how hard it is to be seen as more than a character. One of Baer's most emotional fights came not for himself, but for his father's legacy. The 2005 film Cinderella Man portrayed Max Baer Sr. as a brutal, cold-hearted villain. Baer Jr. was furious. He spoke out publicly, defending his father's humanity and insisting the film had twisted the truth. It wasn't just a movie to him. It was personal. It was another reminder that fame can twist legacies, and that the truth often gets buried under someone else's story. Now, in the quiet of time, Baer stands alone. The last living member of the original Beverly Hillbillies cast. Donna Douglas is gone. Buddy Ebsen is gone. Only Max remains, holding the weight of a television empire that once brought joy to millions. He often reflects on how strangers still recognize him, still call him Jethro, still laugh when they think of the show. There's pride in that, of course. But also sorrow. Because for Max Baer Jr., the spotlight never fully left, and neither did its shadows. His is a story of resilience wrapped in loss, of ambition built on memories, and of a man who tried to shape his own legacy while carrying the ghosts of others. Thank you for spending time with us today. If you found Max Baer Jr.'s powerful story as moving and surprising as we did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's so much more to these iconic lives than what we see on the surface, and together, we'll keep telling the stories that matter.